Hey travelers, well today we are going to be making one of my favorite Caribbean dishes, which is Bahamian Macaroni Pie. It's basically a baked version of mac and cheese. It's absolutely fantastic, and we had a few issues along the way. So if nothing else, you can count the errors as we go. But we had a lot of fun shooting the video, and I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. We're going to do a bunch of different travel and food related videos over the coming weeks, and share some fun recipes with you that you can enjoy at home, and at least think about traveling and pretend you were away, even if you're just sitting in your own kitchen. So enjoy. Hey, so here we are, we're ready to go. We are going to get to work on our Bahamian macaroni pie, which is one of my favorite foods to eat when I'm in the Caribbean. I mean, I know it's 30 degrees outside, but I just can't get enough of this macaroni pie. It's cheesy, it's pasta, it's pretty much everything you need. It's got a little bit of spice to it as well. Now, the first time that I actually had macaroni pie wasn't in the Bahamas, it was in Barbados, or Barbados as we like to say. And that was about 15 years ago. And most of the Caribbean islands have a fish fry. So once a week, you go down to the local market, or the fish market, and they have fish that they've cooked up a variety of different ways, deep fried, sauteed, what have you. And then for sides, a lot of times what they have is different types of macaroni pie. So it's kind of like a macaroni and cheese dish, but it's baked in a casserole dish, and it's sort of more a solid with cheese on top, and that is what we're gonna make today. So we've got our ingredients laid out here. Now typically this is made with macaroni noodles, but we are going to be using Scooby-Doo noodles because they're fun and I like them. Now the other ingredients, I'm gonna post the ingredients down below, so if you wanted to follow along, do the recipe on your own, just scroll down, and in the comments section or in the description of the video, you'll see the recipe for this. So we've got approximately 2 cups of Scooby-Doo noodles, and we've got the pan on the burner right now. So we'll go ahead and get these started. Then once you dump the pasta in, just give it a quick stir so that it doesn't stick together. Cool. All right, so that's gonna cook for about 8 to 10 minutes. You want it to be al dente. And then as soon as it's ready, you're gonna rinse it with cold water. Now, unlike other pasta that you can make ahead of time, you can't really do that with this. With the Scooby-Doo noodles, the starch stays trapped inside really easily. And because of the nature of what we're making, you really don't want to toss the pasta in an oil because it's going to change the consistency altogether. So really, the pasta is something you can prep everything else, but the pasta is something that you do have to make right as soon as you're going to prepare the dish. So we also have, let's start off with the cheese. So we've got a healthy amount of cheese there. That's about 2 cups of cheddar. I like to use sharp or aged cheddar. We're gonna use probably about this much of it in the actual recipe, and the rest is just gonna go on top to make us a nice little cheesy crust. And if we don't think that that's enough, I do have some extra we can always add. In here, we've got about 1/4 of an onion and 1 whole jalapeno. So we chop that up ahead of time. And then here we've got 1/4 of green pepper, again, nicely chopped. Now, spice-wise, we have some mustard. We have this is actual homemade garlic powder that I've done. Basically slice it up super thin, dry it out, and then use a mortar and pestle to grind that up. Onion powder, didn't make that myself. And this is allspice, and that's a true, really Caribbean flavor that you're gonna get. Now, I've also chopped up some pimento, and that's something that, again, really adds to the Caribbean feel of it. It's sort of a peppery pepper. if that makes sense. It's got just a really nice, almost a sweet and spicy kind of peppery taste to it. So that adds a really nice Caribbean flavor. And then of course we've got some salt and pepper that we're going to add a dash of that. All of this is going to come together with some milk. So we've got evaporated milk. This one's evaporated skim milk. I'm not sure who bought this. It wasn't me, but we'll see if it will work. It's a little bit, it's not as creamy as this one, so we'll see. But you know what? This is what we have in the pantry, so we'll improvise, and I'm sure it'll work just fine. And if not, we can add more cheese. Okay, now we've got a little bit extra garlic, so I'm gonna use this now. If you watched the video the other day, it was Dean did actually a jalapeno habanero salsa with blackened pineapple, and he also did a hot sauce, and we use this handy little thing. Again, you can get this at home shows, if we ever have home shows again. And a lot of markets and stuff. And what they've done is with the ceramic, they've basically pinched it up, as you can see, so that it gives it a sort of a coarse surface. And what this does is, gives it a really nice paste, or makes it into a nice paste. And then we're just gonna splodge it all into the bowl. Okay, so we've got garlic, so we're just gonna chuck all the rest of the stuff in. Need a bowl, a mixing spoon. Okay. Took our time. Now, as far as the spices go, we're gonna add, well, this would be, call it a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half. I tend to not follow recipes per se, but more create as we go. Allspice is pretty strong flavored, so we'll call that half a teaspoon. Mustard powder, just to add extra flavor, and again, gonna go about half a teaspoon on that. And we did already add some fresh garlic, but we'll add a quarter teaspoon of that. It's pretty, as you can see, it's pretty big chunks. So, you know, you gotta shake it in order to get any out. And we'll do a bit of salt. So really that's just, you know, to taste. Depends how much you want. You can use as much or as little. And pepper is always nice. Actually, the one thing is, I'm just gonna cut that off there. White pepper is actually the more commonly used item in here, so I'm actually gonna switch that up, and we'll go probably half a teaspoon. We want to give it some flavor, so we'll call that a teaspoon rather of white pepper. In case you didn't know, fun fact: white pepper is the predominant spice in KFC batter. So if you've tried to create that KFC spice at home, try white pepper in there, because that really seems to be the game changer. Okay, so let's go and check on our pasta, and if you want to come around. So that's coming along nicely, but you can still feel that it needs a few more minutes anyways. All right, so let's go back to our mix. Okay, so we've come back, and our cans of evaporated milk got magically opened. Now, if you want to take a closer look at this, you'll see that this is the full cream one, and it is a little bit thicker than the partly skimmed one. But we'll leave that for now. I haven't made this in ages. I'm kind of forgetting, but we'll mix this up. Now, the reason I call this the Bahamian Macaroni Pie is because this particular recipe, we were on the bus one day in the Bahamas going into town, and the buses are really good there. They're actually better than our, newer than the buses that we have here in Vancouver. And everybody is so friendly there. I'm regularly surprised by how genuinely generous and just kind that people are in the Bahamas. It's amazing. I'll just gonna tell you a quick story. So one time we went to the Bahamas. We were staying in on Grand Bahama Island at the Grand Lucayan Resort, and we got there, and one of the cruise lines had come into port, and they'd actually come in too far into the port and nicked one of the power lines, or one of the telephone lines. So they had ATMs on the property, but they couldn't work because they're run through the telephone lines. So we had some money that we were using for tips, and then we got to be quite low. And we knew that there was a little shopping mall nearby. So we took the last of our $2 or whatever it was, got on the bus and drove out. It was about 5 kilometers away. And we got there, and there's a security guard standing outside of the bank. And he kind of looked at us like, obviously we looked like tourists. And he was asking what we were doing. And we said, well, we're just going to go in and get some cash because we're running out of where we were staying. And he said, no, sorry, this is only for locals. It's only a local Bahamian bank that you can only use as a citizen. So, at this point, we're stressed out, we're freaking out. I'm thinking, what the heck? Like, how are we even going to get back to the resort? How are we going to get to an ATM? We have no money. We don't know when the telephone lines are going to be restored. So, I'm basically almost in tears, and, this isn't a huge issue when you think of what things are going on right now, but, at the time it was pretty big. And the guy actually reached into his back pocket, pulled out his wallet, and gave us each a couple of dollars so we could get on the bus to go downtown, which was considerably farther away. And he was like, it was just a thing. It was no big deal. It was like, here you go, here's some money, help yourself and go be happy. And I just thought, like, would that happen here? I don't know. But it's, just kindness. Anyways, as I'm getting all like emotional, let's go and check our pasta out. That's ready. Okay, so the pasta's ready. So we're going to just drain that really quick so that it doesn't overcook. And then we'll give it a rinse in cold water, and that will stop it from cooking. All right. Shake out as much of the water as we can, and then we'll just leave that to drain while we go and finish with the rest of our stuff. So really the only thing that we have left to do is mix in the cheese and the milk and our spices. So we'll just give that a minute. We will start doing travel videos again as I go through my old footage and stuff like that. And as soon as we can travel again, hopefully that'll be sooner than later, but we shall see. In the meantime, I've kind of been motivated to do this because of one of my friends who's doing some cooking classes. He's basically doing virtual dinner parties about 3 times a week. He did a bunch of them last week, and they're quite fun to check out. He is a properly trained chef, so as opposed to me that's just winging it, he actually knows what he's doing. So if you want to check that out, look up Scott Dawson Travel, and you can check out his travel videos. Or his travel food videos and stuff, and also his videos on cooking and stuff like that. So I think we will go ahead and put this all together Give us a bit of space. So when we were in the Bahamas, I started to tell a story, I think. We were riding on the bus one day, and there was a couple of women who were locals, I assumed, and I thought, well, I'll ask them what the recipe is, because we were talking about it and trying to remember, and about the evaporated milk and stuff, and whether it was evaporated or condensed. Was sweetened. There's one sweetened and one that's just evaporated milk. So I asked the woman about it, and she was happy to give me the recipe, but she kind of kept looking at the bus driver, and I couldn't quite figure it out. And I guess I must have had this look on my face like, you don't want the bus driver to know? And she says, that's my husband. And she didn't want to give the recipe away because he absolutely loved her macaroni pie, but he didn't know what the secret ingredients were. So the one thing is obviously the evaporated milk, but also it was the addition of the pimento, which just adds a nice extra little sweet and pepperiness to it. Now you don't need to grease your casserole dish ahead of time, because really the cheese has got enough fat in it. It's really not going to be a problem. So there we go. And I'm going to go with the cheese first. I lost my spoon somehow. Oh, it's in there. Get another one. Okay, so remember, we're only going to use about 3/4 of this, because the rest is going to go on top. That should be good. So you might say at this point we're basically doing 1-to-1 cheese and pasta. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. So if you're watching this and you've been to the Caribbean, have you tried macaroni pie before, or a similar version? And if so, did you enjoy it? Did you have it at a fish fry? We're going to add in our milk now. Okay, so that was the lighter version, and then this one is the full fat version. You can just see how much more creamy that is. Okay, then we're gonna mix in our spice mix. Of course, there's always that moment of doubt when you look at the liquid and you think, well, is this gonna work out, or is this just gonna be a recipe fail? We shall see. Okay, so that's nicely mixed. And then we're gonna pour it in here. I know things have changed a lot with the Bahamas, especially after the hurricane. But the cool thing about staying at the Grand Lucayan Resort is that it is right by the Port Lucaya Marketplace. And they've got some different shops in there. There's a Starbucks, Subway. There was a Starbucks and a Subway. I don't know if there still is. And there was also a shop in the back of the mall area that was... I think it was like just a little mini grocery store. And a lot of the people who worked in the area or were doing tours from that area, or fishing tours, they would pop in just to grab, a sandwich or a pop or coffee, that kind of thing. And then on, I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays, they also had hand pies, or like a Jamaican patty. So I don't know if that is still there, but if you're going to the Grand Bahama Island and you're going to be at Port Lucaya, definitely something you want to check out. There's so many good foods in the Caribbean that are just indulgent and tasty. Okay, so we're going to go with it as is, and we're going to top it off with a bunch of cheese. Okay. go. Now, some recipes call for using breadcrumbs on top. Breadcrumbs add no flavor, so I don't know what the point of that would be. I mean, yes, it's going to give you some crunch, but this isn't really something. The crunch is going to come from the cheese. We want that cheese to crisp up, and you know when you get that hard bits of the cheese and it's crunchy, it's got texture. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to keep an eye on the liquid. We might drain a little bit out partway through, depending on how it's cooking up, depending on how much that partly skimmed milk is going to become a factor. But we're going to throw this in the oven, and it's going to be 350. It's going to be 35 to 40 minutes. I would recommend checking it about halfway through. You don't stir it or anything like that. Just going to look, leave it to be. You don't want to check it too often because, especially if you are using a regular oven, every time you open the door, you are going to let the cool air come in and the hot air escape. And so it's going to have to come back up to temperature. So just remember, if you're looking, you're not cooking. So there you go. So we're going to chuck this in the oven, and then we'll check back in about 20 minutes and see what it's looking like. Okay, so I hadn't turned on the oven ahead of time, so turned that on and decided to clean up before putting this in the oven, so that's all done. Had another look at it and decided that it did look like there was a little bit too much liquid, was the first thought. So I took out about that much worth of liquid, strained that out, because that skim milk is really not creamy enough. Also realized I forgot one of the main ingredients, which is eggs. So I've got 2 eggs. So you might be thinking, how am I going to fix this? Okay, so that's good. So I'll do a bit of a do-over. I mean, I'm not going to waste this much of product in this day and age. And, you know, because in a perfect world, I would just do the whole thing over again. But instead, we are just going to dump that whole thing in. So of course we lost that topping. Not a big deal. So we'll just mix it all in, because as I said, never a problem to have too much cheese. Okay, and then we're gonna mix in the egg. And what the egg is gonna do is it'll help to bind everything. Because as I say, this isn't meant to be a liquidy, loose noodle recipe. It's supposed to bind together so that it's really something that you can cook it, and then you can actually cut it into slices. And that's really how you want it to be served. It should almost look like a square, not the shape of a square, but like a dessert square when you're done. Okay, so that's all mixed together now. All right, so now we'll reinsert this into the casserole dish. I'm not even gonna go for the sexy look and wash it up ahead. It is what it is. There we go. Perfect. Okay, and we'll just smooth that off. Now this is pretty full, which is fine, but you would definitely want to put this over top of a cookie sheet before you put it in the oven. Otherwise, you can have a fun mess to clean up. We'll add the cheese on top again so we can get that nice crust. When you're cooking, if you check it about halfway through and you find that the top is looking a bit darker than what you'd like, or the cheese is just getting too cooked, too burnt, what you can do is just take some tin foil and just put that on the on top of it, and that will keep the top from going super hard. Unfortunately, the cheese is going to stick to the tin foil though, so it's a trade-off, unless you want to lick that tin foil afterwards, and that's, again, perfectly acceptable. Okay, so now we are going to do it officially. We are going to put this in the oven, going to put it on a cookie tray, and then we are going to check it in 20 minutes. So we'll check back then. Okay, so we've got it on our cookie sheet. We're going to go ahead and pop that in the oven in the middle. Again, we're going to let that cook for about 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and check it out. Okay, we're back. So it's been about 30 minutes actually, and let's see what it looks like. It smells glorious. Oh yeah. All right, so we'll just check the consistency. Now that's actually looking really good. Too much in the middle. Go for it. Okay, so it still obviously needs a bit, but I'm really pleased with how those edges are turning out, because we really want this to become sort of a condensed macaroni pie, where, like I say, we'll let this cool once it's finished, and then you can slice it into 8 pieces easily, and you should be able to scoop it right out and serve it. We'll show what that looks like later. But as you can see, some of the noodles are getting a little bit crispy on the top. I'm happy with the cheese as it is. But like I had said before, if you wanted, you could cover that with tin foil, and that would keep these bits from getting too dark. But we're just gonna go for it. So let's pop it back in. Gonna give it about another 20 minutes, and then we'll see how it is. Okay, so it's actually been closer to an hour, but I can't wait any longer. It smells amazing, and I've had a couple of peeks, and it looks fabulous. So you can see the oil may have come a little bit over the side, so it's a good thing we had that disgustingly dirty cookie sheet underneath. It's actually not dirty, it's just needs a good Brillo brush. Now this has got a really nice crust on it with that cheese, and those bits didn't get too badly overdone. We didn't do the tinfoil on top, but as you can see, once it reaches this stage where the cheese is crispy, you really could add the tinfoil if you want, but it's got a nice consistency. As much as I want to jump into this right now and try it, it really is best if you're going to cook it for, normally it would be about 40-45 minutes, depending on how much liquid that you have. And that's where we had a bit of an issue, because the skim evaporated milk is just not creamy enough. But it's fine, like I said, we figured it would turn out fine, and it has. But you really, if you're going to cook it for about 40 minutes, you want to let it rest for about 15 minutes afterwards. That's about what we're going to do with this, and that way it just gives everything a chance to, all the juices to collect, just the same as you would rest meat after you've barbecued it. So we're going to leave that for a little bit, and then we're going to do a taste test. Okay, so we've let it rest now for about 15 minutes, so we are going to give it a taste test. So let's bring it on over so you can see what it looks like up front. It smells as good as it looks. So now we'll just cut some small pieces off of this. Start on this side, I guess. I'm just gonna go with a little pieces. Now the difference is the pasta that we use, the Scooby-Doo pasta, is a little bit longer, and that's where the macaroni is a little bit easier because it's much smaller pieces, so you're not trying to cut through large portions or large pieces of pasta, especially on the top where being exposed, they did get a little bit crispy. And this is always the fun part. So now let's see if it actually oh, there's a nice lot of cheese there. Let's see if it comes out as well as I'm hoping it will. First piece is always a bit of a mess anyways, isn't it? And this better work because I can't put it back in and try it again. Ooh, not bad, not bad. So that's really pretty much what you're looking for. You want that consistency where it's going to stand up, hold the edges in. It's obviously bound together nicely. Cut a second piece. Oops. And then just like lasagna, you know, once you've worked your way through the first piece, coming at it from a different angle is going to be a little bit easier. This spatula is a bit wide, but no, not bad at all. And again, that's really what you need that the resting time for, is so that it has a chance to all pull together. All right, so it smells great. So now let's do a little taste test and see what we think. Okay, so I'm here with Dean, who made the jalapeno habanero blackened pineapple hot sauce the other day, which is actually a really good condiment to go with the macaroni pie. You've got some there. And we're gonna give this a little try. You're gonna taste it first?
Yeah, it's just on the side because I know I'll have it.
No, that's true.
Right,
All
dig
right.
in. Good crispy at the top there.
Yeah.
Eat it, not carry it around.
Very crispy. So the inside is kind of a milky, cheesy consistency. And the pasta is really flavorful.
Great.
How is it with the sauce?
Well, I love it. It's quite sweet. Try a piece of. So you can really taste the pineapple in that, and then the heat gets you as well.
So I will post a link to the hot sauce, so if you want to make that as well, just scroll down into the description of the video and you'll see it there. Let me give this a taste.
It's a previous video in your, if somebody subscribed to you, if they click on you and pull yours up, it'll be the previous video to this one. You should try this.
It's a bit spicy. It's spicy. But it's really good. It's really good contrast to the luxurious, the what's the word I'm looking for? Rich, unctuous. It's really good, and you can freeze this. It reheats really, really well, just like a lasagna. You can actually parcel that up into smaller portions, throw them in a Ziploc, chuck them in the freezer, and then just reheat in the oven or even in the microwave is fine. Yes, you know, for a sunny day, not so much. It's supposed to be raining all day today, but hey, it's BC, so you get what you get. This is rainy day. Who knew?
So
you like it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot there, which I think we may end up freezing. But if Bob and Doris were here, we'd finish it all.
Or Scott and Jason.
Or Scott and Jason.
True. Yeah. So very good.
All right.
Cool. Well, we'll see you next time. So this is sort of like a Ferris Bueller ending for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give us a like and don't forget to subscribe. And Dean finished his, but I'm going to carry on eating. Bye.